All right, welcome back to my live mini painting stream. We're going to continue working on this miniature made by Alpi Miniatures that is supposed to be on the Aerosan Diorama when that's finished. Last time we started doing the base coat on this guy, and yeah, today we will continue on the white areas of his coat. I will work a bit on the upper parts since those are a little bit more interesting in my opinion. I told you already last time that it's a bit sad that the wrinkles on his fabric are quite shallow and not that pronounced, which means they are kind of hard to paint and there's not that much detail. But so far I'm not too concerned about that and quite happy with the result. But of course, there's a lot of work to be done at this point. Um, you guys told me not to continue between streams working on him, so I didn't. So we are exactly at the same point like we were at the last time. So yeah, you can see the complete process of this miniature being painted. All right, let me just open up the chat here as well. Perfect. So now I also can see what you guys are typing in the chat. As always, if there are any questions, let me know. Then I can get back to you as well without any problems. Also, you might have noticed this white area in the top of the screen. That's actually my wet palette. So a few of you had the wish for me to include footage of my wet palette so you can see how thin my paint is and what I'm mixing up on my wet palette, and we're going to do that this time. I got a second camera thanks to my Patreons. Um, you guys are awesome and really help me keeping this channel going in this pace and with this intensity as well. So I got a second camera for you so you can see what I'm doing on my wet palette and you get a better idea of how I mix my paints, how thin my paint is, and all that important stuff. Okay. All right, like last time, I will be using this set of paints by AK Interactive. Our darkest tone is the reddish gray. In that set for white paint also included is the basalt gray, but I'm not going to use it on this miniature since I'm going for a bit more warmth in his coat. It's white paint after all, but I'm trying to keep it a bit warmer so it will fit the scene a bit better and we get a bit of contrast between the icy surface around the miniature and the Aerosan to get some variety in color and also in the tones a bit more cold on the diorama and a bit warmer on the miniatures and on the Aerosan as well. I already told that in the video about the Aerosan. There I tried that as well to not go to a pure cold white, but get something right in the middle that looks a bit different. So reddish gray will be our darkest tone. Let me put that right on my wet palette. I didn't remember to shake my paint before the stream started, so I have to do it now. Let's see. Here we go. We got a bit of reddish gray. Our next tone then is the warm gray by AK Interactive from that paint set. And we'll put that right next to the reddish gray. And then our next tone is it's actually the silver gray. Um, really nice color. I really like that. I use it for a lot of stuff. It's even a bit lighter. And now we have also the off-white and the pure white. I'm not going to use the pure white because, as I said, that would be quite cold. I'm staying with the off-white. And let me check my camera settings real quick so you can see the paints a bit better. I think for you it's not so much about seeing the exact tone that is on my wet palette, but I think it will be more interesting to just get a vague idea of how thin my paints are and stuff like that. That's a bit too, yeah, that's okay. And I think I will bring my wet palette a bit closer to the camera as well. All right. So, as I already said, if there are any questions about what I'm doing when I start painting, let me know in the chat and I will get right back to you. All right. Yeah, as I said, I will be focusing on the top of his coat today, so we can get a bit more progress run, and it will be a lot clearer what I'm going to do today. In the last stream, we already got the base coat over his coat done here. And like the last time, I will start now to paint in a couple of highlights just to get an idea where my shadows and highlights are. And I will just do a very, very sloppy paint job in the beginning, just marking out all the highlight areas so I can see them a little better and then start blending stuff together. For this creases and wrinkles under his arm, for example, I will also be using my Lintus paint at this point. That's of course way too bright, but it's just for the sake of me seeing better where I have to work, and it will be covered later with paint that's a bit darker as well. Yeah, and I will directly start going in with a paint that's a bit lighter, just to get in a few rough transitions, color transitions in. The paint is still quite thin at this point. I will keep it thin over the whole process, of course, but it's a bit thicker than a glaze consistency, so it sits somewhere in between. I'm just going to do a really basic job of putting colors next to each other mostly. I'm not going to do any blending at this point. There might happen a bit of blending because of the paint still being wet, but nothing too special at this point. Also, I think I won't need that much of my darkest paint today. Maybe a bit in the lower areas here, but overall, we got our darkest color down, our darkest base coat, and I think we won't need to go any darker. Maybe in the end, if I feel like the miniature overall is a bit too light or a couple of shadows are a bit too light, um, then I'm going back in with darker paints. But so far, we stay where we are right now. All right. I have to excuse myself for a moment. I will be lower my desk a little, so it's a little more comfortable for me for. And I guess you will also get a better picture like this now. Yeah, welcome to the live stream. Um, Go ahead and write as many chat messages as you can, so YouTube starts recommending this this live stream to a lot more people. I was really excited last time after I finished the stream, and YouTube showed me how many of you guys were here watching the stream. That was really great. I noticed that in the stream already because we had so many chat messages and a lot of engagement, and I love that really helps me out. Yeah, I'm glad that you had the chance to take a look at my models at the Euro Model Expo. I will be there next year as well. I think I'm quite sure about that. I had a lot of fun there. Um, but I guess in the next year I won't be putting anything in the contest. The piece with the FW190 this year, as you might know, was in the contest and I scored really well. I started in the masters category and got the silver medal. It's right next to me actually. So I haven't started to flex now with my medal, but it's not that necessary, I guess, because it says nowhere like masters on it. Um, but it's a bit sad for me to put a model of mine in the contest, and then I won't be able to stand next to it and talk to you guys. So I have, yeah, this year I had to divert between the contest area and the place where me and my buddies showed our models to to talk as to talk to you as many as possible. But I think next year I will just put everything at my display stand and not enter anything in the contest, so we can talk a little more. Email notifications. That's a bit weird. I think I forgot to put something on Patreon today. I just came home from work, had a really busy day and a really busy week. And YouTube sometimes is kind of weird when it sends out notifications or not. Um, I I use my own YouTube account where I watch other stuff, and that one is subscribed to this channel as well. And I also didn't get a notification by YouTube that I started my own live stream. Normally that happens, and I think I have to look into that. But I will make sure to put it on Patreon next time as well. So there's also a notification going out. Um, yeah, I'm not sure with the second camera if the image could be a bit less blurry, but that might just be down to the stream. I'm not sure yet. I have to figure this out. As I said, I just came home from work and I had like 10 to 15 minutes to set everything up. Um, but I thought I would do it today since I won't be able to stream anything on the weekend. But yeah, I think you were one of the guys who suggested in the last stream that I would add a second camera, and you're definitely right. It helps a lot. I'm also quite interested to see how I will incorporate that in the normal videos. Um, since obviously this will create even more footage. Just so you can get a basic idea, the video footage for the Aerosan video I just released last week were around 2 terabytes, so it's quite a lot of footage I have to go through and put together. I don't want to double that, to be honest, but we'll find a creative solution, I guess. And to be honest, I was a bit sad that there wasn't more competition at the Euro Model Expo. So in the category I was in, there were I think like 5 or 6 models, not that much. And the guys I traveled with to Euro Model Expo told me that this is quite normal. If you want to have a lot of competition, you have to enter the standard category because most people just think that they are not good enough for the masters category. Um, so maybe next time I had to have to enter in the standard category if I want to enter again. But as I said, I'm not that interested in going to the competition area again. I think we talked about the stream format on the email. Is that possible? You were the guy that mentioned that the vertical resolution is a bit weird when watching on the TV. Um, might have been last time on stream here. I'm not that sure. I did one of those vertical live streams because the internet told me actually that it's better to get more engagement on YouTube and you will reach more people. But that's not that great when you guys then have a hard time to see everything. In the end, that's the point, I guess, of this channel, so that you can see what I'm doing. And when it's in that weird format, that's a bit odd, I guess. Might have worked a bit too sloppy in the beginning on this arm. I feel like, but it's okay so far. And I'm going to ask you again in the end of the stream if I should do everything on live stream, or if you are fed up with with white code or white base codes at this point or at the end of the stream, and if I should finish them off camera so we can see a bit more interesting stuff next time. But we're going to decide that in the end, I guess. And I already said that in the beginning. For the second camera angle, you really have to thank my Patreons. Those are the guys who make it possible to get a second camera for this channel, and I'm really happy about that. As you can see at this point, I'm doing a bit of blending, not that much, just refining the areas a bit. The last time I told you that I was guessing the wrinkles and folds a bit, because they are hard to see for me here, because the light is so bright, so you can see everything. But after the stream, I checked the box art and the official pictures shown by IP Miniatures, and I got most of them right. And I feel like this is the point where I start mixing colors together. In the end, this will be a huge mess. Everything mixed into each other. And I hope my colors won't start to run away, since my wet palette is a bit tilted, so the camera can see it a bit better. I found actually a quite creative way also to bring up my wet palette a bit higher that I can reveal to you. Um, I was at a toy store this week, and they have a few Revel models, and I actually bought myself a Tornado in, where is it? 1 to 144, and a Eurofighter as well. And I'm now going to use them to prop up my wet palette. But eventually I'm going to build both of them. I also got an F-14 Tomcat that isn't in reach right now. If you're interested in seeing any of those models on the channel, let me know that in the comments. feel like we have a lot of aircraft modelers in this community because I started out with an aircraft after all, even though I'm normally more of an armor modeler. So if you want to see me build me tiny aircrafts in 1 to 144 scale, let me know and I will gladly do that. Also, this morning I got a bit of work done on the Hummel that I had to abandon for a while, and I'm a lot happier with my work on the photo edge parts so far. Sometimes it really pays out to build a model a second time because you can correct all those small mistakes you made the first go around. And I think I'm now going to base code of the rest of his code so we can get a bit of progress done. Just don't feel like doing glaze after glaze after glaze at this point. So let's bring a bit of color on here to make it a bit more interesting at this point. A lot of familiar names in the chat today, and honestly, I really enjoy that. Um, that's that's great to see you guys again and again and again. I think that might be a sign that you actually like my content and I do good work, and I'm really happy about that. And next week I will also continue working on the diorama for the Aerosan. The resin pour I did and I showed you last time for a quick moment in the stream is cured now mostly and can be removed from the mold. I actually did a couple of tries to remove it, but it's not a quick job um, because it sits so fine. Yeah, I actually did take a quick look at that book, and I might have to order a copy, but I haven't had the chance to do that at this point. Um, I will be away for the weekend. I will be in Berlin, and one of my favorite modeling stores actually is in Berlin, and they have quite a lot of books. So maybe I have to give them a quick visit to see if they have that book in the shop. I might have to take one of those tiny aircrafts with me in the train so I can do something while being on the train ride and build a small model. I think I will switch to a brush that's a little bit bigger just to get more paint down. Yeah, it looks a lot better. I think I told that in every stream so far. In most cases I'm not a fan of brushes that are really small because they aren't able to hold a lot of paint and moisture, and you get really dry looking paint that way. But if you take a bigger brush with still a fine tip, you are able to get a lot more paint down with more moisture, and everything will look a lot smoother in the end. As you can see, it's a lot of back and forth for me on the wet palette. In between colors, I quickly dip my brush in a cup of water to rinse a bit of excess paint off. But I'm not too concerned in cleaning it completely between different paints because I'm working on the same areas at this point, and a bit of paint contamination isn't that bad. If any, it will blend the colors a bit more together, and that's fine with me. If you do a different area now on the miniature, you should clean your brush a bit better. But more, it's not that necessary in this case. I will treat this as a large area overall, and then I can start to work a bit more on those small wrinkles. And while the paint is still wet, on the next paint that's a bit lighter, start a bit higher up, cover the whole surface. And then I'll go to my lightest paint again. Also, if I feel like my paints are a bit too polluted on the wet palette, I don't mind just replacing them. I'm not that concerned about wasting paint. Um, I think I never had to buy a second bottle of any of my AK paints so far because they hold up quite well and quite long, even if you replace them on your wet palette every every couple of hours. So yeah, just really basic so far. I think he's a bit moving. I have to super glue him back in place. Where's my super glue actually? Question. a little bit of super glue accelerator, so it's dry a bit quicker. And I'm going to start putting a bit of color over the lower part of his coat as well. Again, really rough in the beginning. That might have been a bit too rough. I'm always a bit concerned when working messy in the beginning how the end result will turn out. But I haven't had problems so far, so I guess that this is quite all right. Also, I'm really interested to hear what you guys are working on at the moment. So if you want to share that, let me know in the chat what you're building right now, painting right now. Always looking for interesting ideas of what to do next. There's like a million topics I would like to tackle, but there's just not enough time for that. All right, while that dries, let's do a bit more work on the front. I will now thin my paint a lot further. We'll be going more into the glaze consistency. That's my lightest paint now, and I'm going to start blending a couple of things together. Yeah, it's actually not pure white. It's the off-white color. I said this in the beginning. Pure white is a bit too harsh for what I'm going to do here. If you look at those paints in the bottle, there isn't that much of a difference. I can see a bit. I'm not sure if it's visible on camera, but I might put some pure white on my wet palette so you can see it next to each other. Yeah, the white don't even want to come out because I never use it. Oops. Here it is. So I know it's hard to see on the palette cam because everything is so bright. Um, but here you can see that the actual white is a lot brighter even than the off-white. It On my screen, it's a bit visible that the pure white is even a bit lighter than the off-white. Um, but yeah, you're right. Pure black and pure white in most cases are a lot too harsh. Let me try to bring the light a bit more down. Maybe that will do the trick to show it a bit more. I think now it's quite dark, but it's more visible, and I will bring it back up again so you can see a little more. I said this in the beginning. I just got home from work 10 minutes before the stream started. Haven't had much time to set everything up, so I had to wing it a little to start in time. I actually got this camera in today, but I wanted to use it for the stream because everybody was asking for it in the last one. Leyland Retriever logo. Let me look this up real quick. I think I might know that model. Oh yeah, that's really cool. When I was at the Euro Model Expo, I looked at a lot of truck models from the mostly from the First World War and the early 20th century, and I really enjoyed those models. They look really cool, and I think ICM does a lot of cool stuff. I also had a look at the models by sold by CSM, and they also do a lot of early aircraft stuff that I really enjoy. I'm not sure if I will be too much into the rigging on those aircraft models, but maybe at some point I have to get there. Yeah, 50 to 60 figures in 1 month is crazy to me. I think I said this before. I tried over and over to get a bit more into wargaming. I really enjoy that, and it's really cool. But I'm so bad at painting armies because uh, I'm not capable of saying, okay, this is like good enough, and to do a quick paint job. And I started working on a couple of Warhammer armies, not a couple, but I at one point I started an army, an Imperial Guard army, and I spent like 5 to 6 hours on one of those soldiers. And if you have to paint like 120 of those, this this takes way too much time. A couple of friends invited me to play another war game with them, Quars War, and I'm currently thinking about painting an army for that. So if would be interested in a bit of wargaming minis on here, let me know. And they also have quite a couple of cool tanks so that can be 3D printed, and I'm looking forward to print one of those and paint it in a really cool paint scheme that I will steal from a German vehicle from World War One. Yeah, it's actually a different subject, but I'm not able to just do tabletop quality. Let me bring in a couple of my Warhammer miniatures, and you can tell me if that's tabletop quality or something different. So those are a couple of Age of Age of Sigma miniatures I did. We have this guy with his freehand banner. I really enjoy painting freehands. And then here he is. And I did spend a lot of time working on the skin tones because I really enjoyed that, and I used them kind of as practice for skin tones. You get it in focus here. Hey, maybe this guy is a bit better. Yeah. So that's like the standard I'm working with when I have to paint wargaming models. And even on my orc army, I did stuff like that. It's hard to get them sharp. I had the idea of doing a bunch of different German camo schemes on my orcs, and all of them have like German camo schemes on there, and yeah, just use German uniform colors for their skin and stuff like that. Um, and that's why I'm not able to paint a complete army because it just takes me way too long getting those done. Maybe I have to look at a couple more skirmish games, um, because it's less people to paint. Yeah, I thought so. It's quite hard to get them in focus on this camera, um, because I tuned my camera settings so the white miniature will be clearly visible. But I can upload a couple of pictures of those so you can take a look without moving them around. As far as I know, Euro Model Expo in next year will be also a lot more about tabletop. So maybe I actually have to bring a couple of my tabletop models to the Euro Model Expo and show them as well. But I also have a hard time to decide when to stop working on a miniature like this for a diorama. It's like using the same cameras as night shift sounds like like a great idea. I'm actually using a Sony camera, because it was on sale when I started this channel. I'm looking to upgrade my setup a bit, but I think it works quite well. I'm not sure if I ever told this, but when I started in the end of last year with my channel, before I started, I actually built that Kesselwagen, that tank car on rails, and in my local hobby shop, a lot of people told me to do maybe a YouTube video about that. And then I came up with the idea for the Ready for Transport diorama with that FW190. And I was like, yeah, okay, This is like a test project. I will be doing a YouTube video about it, and if it works out and people actually want to see this, I will continue with that. But at that time, I didn't think that anybody would watch my videos, and now we are sitting at over 3,000 subscribers, and that's just ridiculous to me. And I was really surprised by that. And of course, it's very motivating to get that much positive feedback from you guys about the models and the videos and stuff like that. So I for sure have to continue this. At this point, I already went so far to do a little makeover to my modeling desk, so I can incorporate the cameras a bit better, and got myself a nice overhead rig and stuff like that. So the lights are now coming from my ceiling and the cameras coming from my ceiling. Do have to work in my living room though, so it's quite nice that not everything is standing on the floor. My girlfriend is really tolerant when it comes to filming equipment in the living room at this point, and I don't want to overstretch it. There actually are really there are constant updates over on my Patreon for those guys. I thought about doing more videos but shorter. Um, but I don't feel like doing shorter videos with like weekly updates. Night Shift did this in the beginning, and I also enjoyed this format. But I really enjoy to have a longer video that I then can sit down and watch in one go, or even in a couple of sessions. Um, but I think creating more and shorter videos around 10 to 15 minutes and then putting one out every week will also be a lot more editing work for me in the end. To get sponsors, yeah, I'm working on that. Galeri actually also contacted me about doing working on a collaboration, and we're speaking about that. I think that's enough information for now. Um, but yeah, they are all over the place. Have you actually tried their airbrushes yet, or are you still waiting for them? Also, the one brand I really would like to work with would be AK Interactive. So if you guys know anybody at AK Interactive, let them know that I'm here. I already use like most of their products and I enjoy most of them. So if they for some reason decide that they would like to work with me, I'm here for that, of course. But I don't want to go ahead and do a lot of advertisement on this channel. That's not what I want to do actually. I'm not sure. I also think that the guys from Galeri were at the Euro Model Expo as well, but I haven't had a chance to check out their airbrushes yet. I might have to do, but at the moment I'm using mostly Harder and Steenbeck, or I use only Harder and Steenbeck, and I have Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes that I got like 20 years ago, um, when I used them to paint on canvas, not even for modeling, and they still work great. All right. Let's put a bit more work into the upper parts again on his coat. I actually also use the Evolution and the Infinity, um, and they are really well made. I have a new Evolution that I bought, I think 2 years ago, and then an Infinity that I bought last year. But I also have an Evolution and an Infinity that are, as I said, nearly 20 years old. But and they still are running great. I had to change the seals one time, but that's it. Other than that, if you take care of them, they are really made to last. Out of talent. Yeah, I think we all have that feeling at some point. Um, I'm in the lucky place that I'm able to spend quite a lot of time on modeling without uh, um, yeah, getting any problems from that. Everybody in my surroundings is fine with that. And I also do a lot of other art stuff and did a lot of other art stuff before I even started with modeling. And I feel like that translates really well. My day job is also something creative, and I do do a bit of art in my day job, if you want to call it like that. So it's like constant training for modeling. At this point, I'm a bit unsure when it comes to the contrast on this miniature. How much is good? How much is too much? But I think I already said this the last time as well. I think I will overdo it a bit in the beginning and then pull it back with a bit of weathering in the end. That feels like the simpler way for me. And again, the same question as last time. If there are any models you would like to see me build, anything specific, please write it down in the chat so I can think about that. As I said, I'm always looking for new ideas, and I'm I really like to see the variety in models available. That's why I got myself the Aerosan model for the last video. So if you have any cool suggestions, so I think we are slowly getting somewhere with this miniature. Let's put a couple of highlights on this arm as well, like the last time and in the beginning of this stream, just really rough to mark out a few lighter areas. And if I feel like it's too much, I will pull it back later. But just for the sake of being able to see everything a bit better, this is quite a useful tactic, in my opinion. JLTV by Reifield models. Is that the like kind of a Jeep thing or something like that? I'll have to look it up real quick. I think I had a look at that kit at the Euromodel Expo. Ah, yeah, it is. That's a really cool one, actually. Leopard 2 power pack. Let me also look at that. Yeah, damn, that's really cool. I thought about something like this because in my local hobby shop there's a kit for the, I'm not sure how it's called. If it is it the Büffel in German? It's like the um like what's the right name? A transport tank, like a towing tank, something like that. And as far as I know, it's quite easy to change the power pack on a Leopard with one of those things in a couple of minutes. And I thought about that this would be a really cool diorama. But for that diorama, I would basically build two Leopards. And I'm not sure if two Leopards are that recovery tank perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. If it would be totally cool to build two Leopards back to back. And I also did one Leopard this year. And unfortunately, the in comparison to my other videos, the videos about the Leopard um, didn't went that great on YouTube. And if you have watched them and have an idea why nobody watched those videos, let me know. But compared to my other videos, they were quite bad, unfortunately. And I wasn't sure if this was because of the topic, if it's the case that nobody's interested in like modern tanks or in like a Leopard, or if it was because of the tiny scale. But a lot of people told me when they saw the Leopard on pictures that they wouldn't guess that it's just in 1 to 72nd scale. So I was thinking that it might not be about the scale, and maybe people aren't just interested in leopards. I don't know. I think when I have to build something based on a leopard chassis, it would be one of those bridge laying tanks. I really like those. The new one, the Lego one, but the older ones as well. I think it's really really cool when they put down their bridge. I live quite close to the German Tank Museum, and one time I was there, they had one of the bridge laying tanks running. I'm not sure exactly which model it was, but it's the one that had to put the completely extended bridge up into the air to lay it flat down on the earth, like 16 meters high, and that was really really cool to see, and would make a great diorama idea as well, I think. But I would need a new display cabinet for that one as well to make it fit. I'm going to try not working too far off camera here. So I think for the next live stream I will start preparing the head for this model. It's still unprimed and I didn't even remove the mold lines at this point. So we can do a bit of work on his face in the next stream. Might be a bit more interesting than seeing me painting white all over again. And maybe we should switch this format to video calls so I can watch you guys paint a miniature as well. Then it's not that one-sided. And the warm gray is a really nice color to glaze over the miniature actually. It works really well. White paint is often quite quite difficult to glaze. Then warm gray really does a phenomenal job at this. So and I'm going to bring a couple of darker tones back in to get more shadows going in the shadow areas here. But yeah, feel like I really have to be careful with the contrast on this miniature. Actually looks horrible on camera. I just saw it. I tell you, it's a lot smoother in reality actually. So a bit more careful here with the shadows so it doesn't get too dark. And just really careful blending everything together. But I said this last time a couple of times, I don't care if I make any mistakes. Um, with paint that is so thin, you can really easily correct your mistakes. And that's like the same approach I try to use as well when painting a larger model with my airbrush. I use really thin paint so I can rework areas without any problems really. And the little overspray never hurt nobody. Yeah, as you can see, we're slowly getting somewhere, a lot more paint on this miniature down than the last time I was live. So feel like I'm a bit faster this time. Um, but that might just be because I'm working mostly on the upper areas, which are a lot more defined, and because of that, quite a lot easier, simpler to paint for me. Also, I also said this last time, but I will repeat it this time. If you are by any chance on Instagram, go ahead and look for Kid Chronicles scale models over on Instagram. I just created an Instagram account to show a couple of more pictures and a bit of work in progress stuff and stuff like that. So if you happen to be on Instagram, go over there. I have like 23 followers on Instagram. So I'm happy about every new subscriber on Instagram as well. A bunch of people at the Hero Model Expo were a bit mad with me that I didn't have an Instagram account. So I thought, yeah, I might just as well start an Instagram account for this channel as well. think it's really cool to see the difference between this front part of his code that we already did a lot more work than on the rest, to see kind of a bit of a progress around the whole miniature, an area that's quite good at this point, an area where I did put in a bit more work, and then that area in the back where I rarely did anything so far. But we're going to change that now as well. Just putting a large gradient over the miniature. And I forgot to paint the underside of his arm here. So let's do that as well. Also, please let me know which days in the week would work best for you for live stream. I figured out that the evenings might be a bit better for all of us, including me. But yeah, if there are any specific dates where you would say that that would be a nice option for a stream, please let me know, and maybe I can make it work. The next stream might be on Sunday. I have to see if I can manage to do that, since I will be away for the weekend. And I'm not sure how tired I will be on Sunday evening. I think I also have to start painting the other miniature as well. Haven't done any work on that one so far, so it will be ready for the video. And of course, if you haven't watched the video about the Aerosan yet, go ahead, do me a favor, watch that video. I think the Aerosan came out really cool. And if you haven't commented yet on the Aerosan video, of course, go ahead and do that as well, because that would really help me out. I was just thinking again about that Leopard 2 power pack that was suggested in the chat. I'm not sure if it would be a good idea to build something like that. I probably would get myself that kit, and then I would open it, like with the Aerosan, and then for some reason start to design a completely new engine from scratch. That would be kind of pointless, I guess. But might also be fun. I told you earlier I got myself a couple of 1 to 144 aircrafts, mainly more modern jets. And I was looking on scale mates for upgrade parts, like really cool cockpits and ejection seats and stuff like that. And everything was mostly out of stock everywhere. So just I might give you a hint about one of my next projects. I started working on a couple of upgrade parts for the F-14 and for the Eurofighter already. I think I'm going to 3D print my own cockpits and try to vacuum form myself a new cabin window and stuff like this. Just because I want to try it. Yeah, I know that feeling with can't spell. Um, I have that feeling a couple of times in every live stream and more so in the voiceovers I am recording. But yeah, we're making some progress today. I decided to work a bit rough overall, so we get a bit more paint down on the miniature and get a better feeling how everything will look together. And also this gives us the option in the end of this live stream. If you're going to decide that you've seen enough of me painting white on this miniature, um, I could do most of the glazing off camera if you like, so we can focus in the next live streams on the more interesting parts, not painting white all over every every time and time again. But if you do enjoy seeing me painting white time after time after time, that's fine for me as well. Let's also make sure to paint his armpits here. As you were probably able to see in the video about the Aerosan, I'm a fan of painting areas so that won't be visible in the end. Uh, so I also make sure to get everything on this miniature painted. I feel like it's slowly getting a lot harder to see progress when we get to the glazing stage, since it's mostly the same, very thin paint, and there isn't much change visible in a short amount of time. The AKVWT2, yeah, that would be a cool project. Let me reach over here. Those are the screws for those models. And as you can see, it's not like one screw, but I've got two of them because when I looked at those are actually the first models that they brought out from the T2 because I saw the one, that flower power one, and I really enjoyed that. And also that one by the German fire department, or also the Dutch fire department. I think there are a bunch of options, and I really like those models, so I got two of them. I also like the new version with the Bundeswehr T2. Um, but those aren't finished yet. Those aren't even built yet. Um, those are really great model kits. I think they're made by Mini Art. The quality is very high. Everything went together quite well without any problems. The only thing I'm a bit disappointed in were the seats. Let me see if I have them around here. I haven't cleaned them up yet. But those are the seats for the T2 model. and they don't look like the original ones at all. The shape is quite right, but the original ones have um, yeah, a lot more detail. And I started modeling my own seats for this model in Blender, but I'm not good in Blender. I said this in the last live stream. I really enjoy Fusion 360, and I think I'm quite confident in Fusion, but I'm not that confident in Blender, unfortunately. So it takes me quite a long time to get those seats ready. But yeah, I'm working on new seats, and I think I will, when those are finished, I will definitely continue working on those T2 buses. But as usual, too much projects and not enough time. And as I said before, since I started this YouTube channel, I try to make sure to work at one project at a time mostly. So you don't have to wait too long between videos. I enjoy to have a bit of variety in my subjects. And I feel like sometimes there's a point with a model where you just have to do something else and not continue working on that model for a bit of time. But because I want to make those videos for you guys, I have to focus mostly on one model and not that much variety. And yeah, I really enjoy mini art models. Um, I feel sometimes you have to get a bit used to them. There are ones that are the quality isn't bad, but I've seen better kits. Let's say it like that. For example, when I did that Kesselwagen model, that tank car. Yeah, that tank car for the railroad. I did one of those railroad signs from Mini Art, and that kit was horrible. I had to buy it 2 times because on the first one, the main pole, all those openings were completely enclosed with excess plastic, and I had to do so much cleanup that I just decided to get myself a new model. And that was a point where I was a bit disappointed. And I feel like the plastic is often very, very brittle. When I built the water crane for the FW190 diorama, for example, I didn't bother to use any of those small plastic rods included and stuff like that, and just started to replace everything because you can't even get them off the screw without breaking them. I also did a tractor model by Mini Art, that German tractor with the trailer. And with that model as well, I had to replace all those small rods included in the kit because they broke apart when cutting them off from the sprue. But yeah, when it comes to detail and interesting subjects, Mini Art are definitely one of the places to go. Really great stuff. My girlfriend is actually thinking about building her first model, and she really enjoys that Tempo E400 bakery car made by Mini Art. But she isn't sure yet if a Mini Art kit would be the best option to start out. And I really get that feeling. I think the best part about that bakery car would be to paint all the all the stuff that is included, all the products. But as I said, it might be a tricky one. We had a look at these sprues already in our local hobby shop, and it looks really cool, but it also looks like it's not an easy kit, to be honest. Maybe we have to make a series out of that when she's starting to build her first model and bring her on the channel and see what she's able to do. After all, she's the one watching all those videos before they will be uploaded on YouTube to catch any mistakes I made. So I think she's quite knowledgeable at this point. Not completely inexperienced, at least. I'm not sure if she's watching this live stream in the chat, but if she isn't, I will tell that after the stream. She of course is, yeah, and helps out a lot with the channel. Without her, this would be a whole other challenge as well. I have the tendency to get a bit into a time crush before finishing a video, and her catching all the mistakes makes it a lot faster for me. Also, it feels kind of weird to watch your own videos. So if you would be standing really close to the Aerosan, I think we could stop right here. Paint his gloves and that back, and we're mostly done. Don't care for the backside. I'm still not sure which color I will choose for his pants. At this point. Gave up after 10 minutes. To be honest, I can understand that a bit. Um, she is a bit worried about that too. I think it's down to the kit, which you start out with. It's like there are a lot of model kits that aren't the best, and if you don't know any better and pick one that is really difficult and too much parts or the quality is bad, stuff like that, it's just not that fun. I myself really enjoy taking a kit that is maybe not not the best and make it work somehow. But if you want to start out, I think it's kind of cool to have a kit that is a bit more complicated than a Lego set maybe, but one where you don't have to start out by filling up gaps and sending gaps all day, stuff like that. I think it's just not that much fun. And if you're someone who likes to compare your work with the work of others, you also might get a bit discouraged when you see finished models by someone who does it for a long time, maybe. I had this feeling as well at the Hero Model Expo. Um, when I haven't been to an exhibition before, and when I went there and saw what everybody was capable of doing, I was a bit discouraged, to be honest. There's like a lot to learn, but I think that's the fun part. So yeah, we're back to a lot of glazing at this point. I have to be a bit more careful with my paint to not tear up paint that isn't fully dried yet. And all the blends are becoming a lot smoother at this point. Oh, and while a few of you are still here, there's another question I'd like to ask to you. Would you be interested in videos of just me painting a model? As most of us, I have a couple of shelf queens that are mostly built, but I never got around to paint those models. And maybe it would be idea just to make a paint video about those because I really would like to get those finished. But since they are already built mostly, um, I can't film a build video about those models. But I would be able to make a complete painting video for you. So let me know if that would be something you would be interested as well, or if you want to see the whole process every time. Yeah, I think so too. There's a really cool KV1 on my shelf, the Ryefield one, with the upgrade set, a lot of photo edge stuff and all that cool things and 3D printed tracks and so on and so on. And I think I even started to build a couple of miniatures for that one. I got those mini art tank riders, and mini art also makes really, really nice plastic figures, and they do look really great, even when compared to resin ones. All right. So we're about 2 hours in, and I think I'll have to stop for now. I'm getting a bit tired, and there's still a lot of white to do. And before I get bored and start working sloppy, I think we'll have to end this here. Um, Again, let me know maybe also in the comments for this live stream, or in the announcement for the next live stream, if you want me to continue working on the white, or if you would like to see me working on something else like the face for this model, something like that. And then we could switch it up a bit. And if you like, I can finish the white coat off camera, together with the other miniature for this diorama. Yeah, but I'm happy to do it like the way you would like it. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I again had a great time. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And I hope to see you all in the next live stream. Again, thank you so much for my Patreons to make it possible to bring a second camera to the live stream so you can see my wet palette. Had a great time, and I hope to see you all next time. Thanks again for watching.